Good evening and welcome, students, family, and friends to the Honor Society of Nursing, Sigma Theta Tau International, Upsilon Chapter Member Induction. My name is Colleen Carmody Payne, President, Upsilon, and we are delighted you are part of this occasion. It is my pleasure to welcome and congratulate our candidates. We are here to celebrate you and your achievements. I would like to begin by thanking our vocalist, Karen DeGree, Vice President of Upsilon, and the pianist, Thomas Folks, for their performances. I would also like to recognize the VIPs in the audience. First, Dr. Sparky Mangels, Chair of the Division of Nursing, and Dr. Ann Weed, Vice President of Academic Affairs at Keuka College. Let's begin with the invocation to be given by Anne Marie Flanagan, Secretary of Upsilon.
Please bow your heads. Heavenly Father, we ask your blessing on all the men and women who gather here to enhance the nursing profession. Instill in all their hearts the principles of love, courage, and honor as they each pursue the area of nursing they embrace. Bless these new inductees for achieving high standards in academic excellence and their chosen profession of nursing. In Jesus' name, amen.
Now I'd like to invite the Chair of the Division of Nursing, Sparky Mangels, to speak.
Thank you, Colleen. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you so much for being here. This is a wonderful celebration. I remember years ago when I was first inducted into this prestigious organization, I wasn't really sure what it totally meant, but it has been something that has been very relative to my career throughout my whole lifespan. Well, I have a birthday coming up this weekend, so we won't talk about that. But anyway, it's something that is going to help you to develop further knowledge, to be a lifelong learner like we all are in nursing. So I congratulate each and every one of you that are being inducted tonight, because it is a wonderful celebration of your scholastic abilities and your attitude to change nursing, to be our leaders today and our leaders tomorrow. So welcome to all and congratulations.
This evening, we are privileged to induct you into the world's only Nursing Honor Society as among the most dynamic nursing leaders and scholars. You are among a distinguished group of nursing students and professionals who have met or exceeded rigorous standards and have demonstrated the ideal qualities of a leader and a scholar. You truly deserve our congratulations. Founded in 1922 by 6 students of nursing at Indiana University, the Honor Society began with 1 chapter and 6 members. During the past 85 years, it has evolved to 451 chapters across the globe, with more than 400,000 inducted members who are active in more than 90 countries and territories. You are welcomed into this community. I applaud the current and future roles you now play and will play as clinicians, administrators, researchers, educators, and health policy analysis. You embody leadership, excellence, and scholarship in the profession of nursing. For this, we welcome you into this worldwide community of nurse scholars with the expectation of learning from you, learning about you, and learning with you. As one of the most distinctive organizations in professional nursing, the Honor Society influences and changes the health of people by engaging the intellectual capital of nurses around the globe. By developing and building connections with diverse people and entities, we enable nurses to collectively and individually develop, create, use, and apply their knowledge to make a difference for the greater good of people's well-being. This is our vision and mission. Our founders chose the Honor Society's name for the words in the Greek language meaning love, courage, and honor. They believe these to be enduring values that are at the root of the nursing profession, the foundation upon which the art and science grows and is used. At this time, Karen DeGree, the Vice President of Upsilon, will present our guest speaker.
It's really great to see you all today. I'm glad you could make it, and it's wonderful to see some familiar faces. The song that we sang and played for you before with Tom, Climb Every Mountain, was in your honor for all the heights that you have already reached and the heights that you will reach in your future, and also in dedication of our beloved and our guest speaker today, Janet Mance. Well, I'm very happy to be introducing her to you today. Janet serves as the Division of Nursing Administrator here at Keuka. She was recently presented with an honorary doctorate for the many accomplishments and credits in her illustrious career and overall tremendous contribution to the profession of nursing. If I can, myself as an individual, look back on my own career one day and claim a fraction of what Janet has accomplished, I'll be really proud of myself. So, how is it that all of us today who know her well, her colleagues and many others who are gathered here today, how is it that we can be so excited about the fact that we're having one of our own be addressing you today as keynote speaker? Well, once you come to know a little bit about Dr. Mance, you will certainly understand. So Janet has enjoyed quite an impressive career. She earned her BA from Elmira College, her master's from the prestigious Yale University, and Janet has served as president of the Foundation of New York State Nurses, NYSNA, and the Genesee Valley Nurses Association. She was former chair of the NYSNA Legislative Committee and many, many other things. These are just a few of the highlights of a very full career that would take all the rest of the afternoon if we were going to talk about each one, but we're just so happy to have her as part of our family. So how does she do it? I mean, how is it that during our faculty meetings, if someone casually asks about a cohort number such and such, located in one of the numerous sites all over our region, and they want to know who the adjunct is who's teaching what course and when the course will begin and when the course will end, how is it that Janet casually flips her little file, her master file, and she produces all the answers in just a matter of seconds? I'll never understand that. How does she do it? And another thing, how does she, without fail, rarely miss a single day of exercise by walking her dog, I'm told, in any kind of weather for like an hour every day? How do you do that? So I'm asking you, Janet, how do you do that? Or that she can consistently be relied upon when we have our faculty meetings to help problem solve some big problems or offer some wisdom or well thought out responses on a consistent basis. Having somebody like that in your group and on your team is pretty amazing and pretty such a blessing. And I still ask the question how she does all these things. So Janet is someone who maintains also a very high level of integrity. She has a great work ethic. She's a woman of character, as I've come to know her, and I've never heard her say an unkind word about anyone behind their back or have engaged in some kind of gossip. And how do you do that? She's usually upbeat, has a great smile every time I see her, has kind of an even-tempered personality. She's not usually grumpy, and I've seen, and has a consistently warm and friendly disposition, which tends to be contagious. How does she do it on a day-to-day basis? And there's one more thing that drives me crazy. So I absolutely will never understand. The faculty, you know, goes out on lunches sometimes for working lunches or meetings, and Janet is one of those rare types who can order a nice lunch and then a decadent dessert every time. And this without putting on a single pound. So the question is, how does she do it? So Janet, maybe it's all that exercise with the dog, walking the dog every day. Anyway, in a single word, she does it by being one of the most dedicated and disciplined professional people I've had the pleasure of knowing. So without further delay, please allow me to present our very own and beloved Dr. Janet Nance.
They even gave me a flower. This will be down in a minute. They even gave me a flower. Actually, this is your day and your introduction to Upsilon, Upsilon. So you should be up here speaking about your life experiences. Instead, they have asked me to talk about mine. I must begin at the beginning and talk a bit about my education, because that is, in my opinion, a great relationship between those beginnings and my professional nurse experiences. My public school education in Elmira, New York was good, if not superior. After high school, I went to Elmira College, where I majored in biology with minors in chemistry, English, and psychology. Because I graduated from Elmira College and Yale University, some have assumed I must have had money. Believe me, I was as penniless as anyone here. I was fortunate to have Elmira College, a small liberal arts college like Keuka, in my hometown. Elmira College accepted a certain number of town students each year, and I was fortunate to be one of them. So I lived at home, walked to college, and carried my lunch. That's why I still carry my lunch today, I guess. I worked a year before going on to Yale in order to earn money, and I borrowed some from the University of Women. Yale was the only school of nursing in the United States to accept only college graduates. It was patterned after medical education, which is a 4-year program following college. Yale School of Nursing was a 3-year program, leading to a master's in nursing degree. Since I had nothing to compare it to, my true appreciation for the quality education I received there came later. The faculty was excellent, and the students had a great amount of clinical experience. Let's see, picture number 1. Do you know how to do that? Do you know how to do that? Picture number 1. Yeah, that's it, that's it. That's me at Roosevelt Hospital in New York with a colleague, another student. We had sort of what's a field period, but it was controlled by the Yale itself. Yale selected well, you could select the place, but Yale made the arrangements with the place. So this was at Roosevelt Hospital, and we worked in the emergency room for a month there. And I have stories to tell there, but I don't have time to tell you all my stories because we'd be here for 4 hours. So I'm trying to limit my little short tale. After graduation, picture number 2, that's graduation. Now I'm in the back row. 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe 4th over? 5th over, I think. I'm one of those in the back row anyway. That's our graduation picture, and that's how many there were in my class. Remember, these people were all college graduates. Some have been school teachers, some have had other careers, and then they decided to go into nursing. and they fortunately went to Yale. After graduation, I married a graduate of the University of Rochester Medical School and took my first job at the University of Rochester. My goal was to teach nursing arts, which was fundamentals nowadays, but then it was called nursing arts, at the U of R. But I was required to have staff nurse experience first, which was fine with me. I was assigned to X3, which is a Florida municipal hospital. Now back there in those days, there was no Medicare or Medicaid, and communities had a financial system of their own to care for the very poor. And at Strong-Royal Hospital, there was half of the hospital was a municipal hospital, which took those patients in, and it was paid for by the county, taxpayers of course. And all the medical care they got was by the house staff, and it was really good care. And the nurses moved interchangeably, so there was no distinction. But X-ray was a women's medical floor, and most of the people on that floor were elderly women who had had strokes, and most of them weighed over 300 pounds. And the rules were very strict. You had to move, turn, and lift those women by yourself. No help was allowed, and I always thought that was a very strange rule. Fortunately, I had good instruction in body mechanics at Yale University, so I saved my back. The work week was 44 hours, and of course, you rotated 3 shifts. When I finally joined the nursing faculty, I was in for some more big surprises. The student body was a mixture of high school graduates and students who had two years at the University of Rochester. They were taught together as a group. At the end of the program, those with the 2 years of college got a college degree, and those without got a diploma from Strong-Royal Hospital. The National League for Nursing took a dim view of this educational approach, and the Department of Nursing lost its accreditation. The organization there was interesting. At the University of Rochester, nursing education was a department of the School of Medicine. Yale University was a school of nursing, which was similar to a school of medicine, a school of law, the divinity school, so it was a school in its own right. So it was quite a surprise to me to come to the University of Rochester and find that nursing was down in the totem pole, down a ways on the totem pole, and it was a department of medicine. So therefore, the control was really Strong-Royal Hospital and the medical school. And that was usually left to the director of nursing at Strong-Royal Hospital. Should the area have had a snow emergency, the director of nursing could call the student nurses who lived across the street in Helenwood Hall to staff the hospital. The students spent from September to March in nursing arts, and they learned all the skills, including those in pediatrics and obstetrics, and that's what I taught. As faculty, we worked with the students in the clinical area and were paged if a certain procedure was needed for a patient anywhere in the hospital. So you as the instructor were paged if somewhere in the hospital a patient had died and the student you had not had experience caring for a dying patient or a dead patient. And so you were paged and you went to this patient who neither of you knew and did what needed to be done. And this happened with dressings or whatever else patients needed. It was very unusual for me, for it was not my kind of education. The nursing faculty had no authority in planning clinical assignments. That authority belonged to the head nurse. When I had a beginning medical nursing student under my aegis on B3, the head nurse on that floor was a very attractive woman who liked to get the attention of the house staff. And my student was a very attractive student who the house staff was enamored with. So when I arrived on the floor at 7 o'clock to work with my student, she was assigned to the sickest patients on the floor and all the meds on that floor. It was absolutely impossible. So since I could do nothing about it, I had no choice, but I took her patients and let her do the meds. And you can see that how upsetting this could be when you want to really educate a student nurse. When the students were seniors, they covered evening and nights for the hospital and came to classes during the day exhausted. When they graduated, I heard they had a big bonfire and burned their shoes and uniforms. That was quite a change for me from the academic halls of Yale. I believe that was the experience that turned on the change agent in me. Let me say a word about change at this point. You have all been encouraged to be change agents in healthcare. But change is not a destination. Change is a means to an end. Change can be for the better, for the worse, or make no difference at all. Many times the need for change is obvious, like the lack of educational purpose for nursing students at Strong Memorial Hospital was at that time. As it happened, that head nurse left for Utah and that position became open. So I applied and got the job. Now I could work with the instructors on student assignments. However, there were more obvious other changes that needed to be made. The surgical units at Strong started at 7 a.m. The medical units at Strong started at 8 a.m. So at 8 o'clock, you had the change of nursing shifts, the breakfast truck arrived, and in those days, nurses had to make up the trays and distribute the breakfast. And the house staff arrived to begin rounds. Total chaos. My first big change. I went to the director of nursing with the problem. She undoubtedly took it to the hospital administration and the Department of Medicine. Lo and behold, the medical units became 7 a.m. floors, and that allowed me to make rounds with the house staff at 8 o'clock. There were a few other changes made on the unit, and soon the rumor was that all the attending physicians I'm talking about, wanted their patients on B3. And I think that was because there was a close relationship between the head nurse and overseeing what happened to those patients and the physicians. There was good communication. In retrospect, that job was my favorite, for it combined patient care and teaching, student teaching, as nurses and medical students and other students, and administration. I left that job to go to Washington, D.C., where my physician husband was assigned to the Armed Forces Institute of Pathology for his required military service time. After considering my job options, I joined the District of Columbia Visiting Nurse Association. I was appointed assistant supervisor in the central office, which was located in Midtown, D.C. This was in the early 60s. As for civil rights, the black nurses had just won the right to eat at the lunch counters. Most of the nurses were black, and our supervisor was a black nurse with a master's from Catholic University. Kennedy was president, and there was no highway around Washington, and there was no urban train system. I was not a change agent there, but I learned a great deal and have many stories to tell. I will tell you one story. If I told all my stories, I'd be here for 4 hours, so I'll try to limit them. But to give you an idea about the kinds of things that happen for public health nurses, and some of you who are public health nurses, this is a little hat, but for some of you who are not, it may be new. There was a patient he was a black patient and a retired Army sergeant. And he had just been discharged from Walter Reed Hospital. And I was to make a home visit and see how he was doing. I found he lived with his wife in a very nice little house in Midtown, DC. She was blind, I found, which I hadn't known before. She could see enough so that she could take water to him in a glass by sitting on the stairs and walking up backwards. He was upstairs in a little bed, and he had come home with an indwelling catheter, which was draining into the bed. And as you can imagine, he had been discharged maybe a few days before that, so the bed was quite a mess. And his medications were sitting on the bedside on his cabin, on his dresser, untouched, of course. And I tried to find out how this had happened. It so happened that their son had gone to the hospital and assured them that he would be the one who would be the caretaker and he would be home with them. And of course, the son took the father home and then disappeared. And that left the blind mother and the father, ill father, in the bed all by themselves. I opened the refrigerator door and I found one piece of salt pork. And that's all there was in the house. So needless to say, I called Walter Reed and called for an ambulance and had him taken back to the hospital. I called a social worker and had the social worker come in and talk to the wife about what could be done with her. Eventually, they both ended up in a place in Washington, D.C., where military people with their spouses can go, and that's where they went. But this kind of situation that you find as a public health nurse is not unusual. One side benefit of working in Washington, D.C. as a public health nurse was that I became an excellent map reader. I could find any alley you told me to find, and any hole in the ground you told me to find, I could find the patient there. So that was really a good benefit because I use that talent today, reading maps. This was before Medicare and Medicaid, so that families that the visiting nurses saw, many had a bedridden elderly person in the back room who were home all alone all day because the person in the house had to go to work. We also saw the newborns the first day they went home from the hospital. And Children's Hospital would frequently call to ask if a nurse could visit a family that had called them about a child with a rash. Children's Hospital did not want the family to put the child on public transportation, obviously for contagious reasons. So they asked the visiting nurse service to go in and see what the problem was. So I became very good at diagnosing childhood rashes and teaching the family how to care for them. It was in my work with the VNA that I would have liked to have had the diagnostic skills of a nurse practitioner. This was exactly what Loretta Ford had in mind when she started her program at Colorado some years later. Shortly before I was to leave that job, I had a call from the chair of the nursing department at the University of Rochester. They had obviously, when they lost their accreditation, looked for another chair of the nursing department and took the assistant dean from Yale University. So she and I knew each other. And she was there when I was head nurse. So she knew my work, and I guess my change agent reputation must have traveled with me because she asked me if I would consider returning to Rochester to take a newly created position in methods improvement. She explained that the procedures and policies of Strongborough Hospital were outdated and non-existent, and that teaching students in that climate was extremely frustrating. There was such a position recently created at Johns Hopkins, and I should talk to that person, which I did. Although I very much wanted to return to school myself at that time, the only place for me to go, there were no PhD programs in nursing at that time. There were only master's programs, and University of Rochester was not adequate to the job at that point. And so the only place I could have gone was New York City, and that didn't look like it was an option because my husband did not want to go there. So one of the lessons learned in my lifetime was that you can't always make the decisions you want to make because you have other considerations and families and that kind of thing. Besides, this job interested me, so I took it. The job was essentially that of a systems analyst and a perpetual change agent. It took me 10 years to do all that I could do. Besides updating all the nursing procedures, moving to pre-packaged commercial equipment in many cases, some major changes were made. At that time, the hospital made its own IV solutions and used reusable syringes and needles. That we changed. The pharmacy took over every unit's daily medication inventory and ordering system, which previously fell to the head nurse. A physician medication order sheet was implemented that would go directly to the pharmacy, getting the nurse out of the position of having to interpret the physician's writing or point out the error in the dosage of the drug ordered by the physician. New positions were created for 2 stock keepers who, working with each unit, worked out a supply inventory, then did the routine ordering and stocking. That used to follow the head nurse as well. Each change took time. All affected by the changes were involved. Studies were carried out on particular units. Data was collected and shared with all. People had to feel that they had input into the change and that it would be an improvement. One story which may interest you, which involved a lot of people, was the emergency carts on each floor. When I took the job, the emergency carts were, everybody did their own thing. Every cart had different equipment on it, depending on who was the chief resident at that time or who was the house staff at that time. So when you called a Blue 100, which was a cardiac arrest in those days, at Strong, and doctors ran to a floor, they didn't know what they're going to be dealing with on the emergency cart. Everything was different and varied. So it was sort of not a good system. You could see that lives could be lost, and probably were. So my idea was to have a standardized emergency cart. Now this meant involving all the chiefs of service, the residents, all the services involved, actually surgery, medicine, obstetrics, pediatrics, psychiatry. So it would involve a lot of people. And we did get agreement, and we did have a standardized emergency cart in all the units. You can see it would take a while and take a lot of talking, but everyone saw the advantage, so the point didn't take a lot of arguing because everyone could see that it was needed. During those 10 years, I became very active in the Genesee Valley Nurses Association and in NYSNA, the New York State Nurses Association. I became president of the Genesee Valley Nurses Association and the bylaws chairman and then the treasurer of NYSNA. It was now the early 70s and the position of director of nursing at Highland Hospital opened. That is a position that interested me and one that I felt entirely ready for. So I applied and got the job. Next picture. That's what I looked like when I applied for the job as director of nursing at Highland Hospital. I was in my late 30s, I think, end of my 30s, maybe 40 at that point. At that time, I also became president-elect of NYSNA. And on the job interview, the assistant director of the hospital said to me, "Don't you see a conflict of interest being a president of New York State Nurses Association and a director of nursing?" For those of you who don't know, NYSNA is a collective bargaining agent for nurses. And I said, "No, I don't see a conflict of interest." I said, I believe I know why nurses collectively bargain. And I think that I believe my job as director of nursing would be to create such a climate for them to work in that they see no need for collective bargaining. So I got the job. There was still a diploma school there, and I learned that I was expected to hire the graduates. One convenient aspect of the position was that I had my own budget. I could adjust salaries within reason and had a nursing staff budget which allowed some flexibility. The nursing care for the most part was functional care. You know, somebody did the meds, somebody did the IVs, somebody did the dressing, somebody did the beds and baths. And the new hospital, which was just finished, was 40-bed units, which I had discovered a long time ago was way too large for one head nurse. I found when I was head nurse that I could remember all the necessary information about 24 patients. And when I got over 24, I lost it. You can see what changes this new director then at Highland Hospital might have in mind. In the 7 years that I was there, the 40-bed units were split into 2 for staffing. 2 nursing assistant positions were converted into transport messengers so that nurses were not required to transport their patients to X-ray. Central staffing was instituted. Personnel functions were centralized. Staff employment was opened up to the most qualified regardless of the school involved. A baccalaureate degree was preferred for the head nurse. And finally, primary care nursing was introduced. Again, changes take time, patience, and the involvement of all affected. Ongoing disagreements with the hospital administration, mostly about staffing numbers, made the work situation less and less pleasant. I will tell you what happened in this job was that the man who was director who hired me left for a position in Pennsylvania, and his assistant took the job, and therein we had problems. But another door opens, and there was another job opportunity for me. This came this time from the New York State Nurses Association. It was a position of director of the legislative program. The profession's interest in standardizing the entry into professional nursing at the baccalaureate level had always seemed logical and necessary, as did the other legislative goals of NYSNA. I took that job and traveled to Albany each week, where I had an apartment for 7 years. Here was a change of a different nature, for it concerned varying philosophies, varying philosophical points of view among nurses. The inability to bring that change to fruition was a result of the lack of cohesion among nurses themselves. Yes, there was opposition from the Medical Society of New York, the Hospital Association of New York, the insurance industry, but diploma school and associate degree schools and practical nurse schools were all opposed. It was eye-opening to see how little legislators knew of healthcare and especially nursing. Mostly legislators want to keep their jobs and be reelected, so the views of their constituency matters. One legislator from Elmira at that time said that he understood exactly what goals were for the profession from our point of view, but that he had constituents in that town, that city, who were diploma people, and that he therefore could not possibly support our position. In time, the diploma schools closed, but the other groups of opposition still remain. That change has been a long time in coming. It was a lot more difficult than changing a hospital policy or procedure, let me tell you. Quitting that job was my first retirement, which quickly led me to another career at Keuka College. And now is the time for another retirement. I hope my stories have given you some ideas and encouragement for your future. Thank you.
Wow, that was amazing. Janet doesn't always share all these things with us, but she's had quite the career, and you shared many, many lessons for us, and some of the things that you spoke about seem to be still quite familiar with our profession, and hopefully we can make a little progress as we move forward. Okay, now let's get to the induction. It's time to receive into membership these outstanding new members. Will all the candidates please rise? Please accept the privilege and responsibility of membership in the Honor Society of Nursing Sigma Theta Tau International by standing and reading from the screen. If you could just repeat after me. I accept membership in Sigma Theta Tau International. And I pledge to fulfill its commitment to nursing excellence, knowledge, service, and leadership throughout my career. Thank you. You may be seated. At this time, I'd like to describe for you the qualifications for becoming a member into Sigma Theta Tau, and also to be, Anne-Marie Flanagan will talk about how you can become a nurse leader in Sigma Theta Tau International. So to qualify for regular membership, student candidates must have demonstrated superior academic achievement, academic integrity, and professional leadership potential. Students must have graduated from a baccalaureate or equivalent nursing degree program that leads to the first professional nursing degree. Students in graduate programs shall be eligible for membership if they have graduated from an accredited program of graduate study in nursing to include master, postmaster, doctoral, and postdoctoral. Students in both basic and graduate programs shall be eligible for membership if they have achieved excellence according to standards approved by the Society. So when I call your name, please come forward to receive your membership certificate, and hopefully if you had a chance to sign the Honor Society book. We maintain those records in that book for the chapter's history. So if you haven't signed in the book at the back of the chapel, please sign on your way out. So at this time, Anne Maria and Karen are going to help me with, first of all, we have Betsy Calabria. Congratulations. Is Diane Carpenter here? Okay, Sarah Creary. Congratulations. Cindy Felice Glowacki. Igor Gorblatov. Lisa Granin. Congratulations. Thank you. Laura Hash, Margie Holcomb Brown, Shauna Inman Praxel, congratulations. Congratulations. Paul Mantelli, Julie Morris, Bernadette Mowry, Amy Perrin, Marissa Rezick, Lisa Seafried, Rebecca Wells, Dulcie White, Melissa Wilson, Joylyn Wing, and Joanna Woodruff.
Nurse leader criteria. A nurse leader who is a registered nurse legally recognized to practice in his or her country with a minimum of a baccalaureate degree or the equivalent in any field and who has demonstrated achievement in nursing shall be eligible for membership. Our candidate for nursing leadership in Sigma Theta Tau started her career in Army in the food service. She cross-trained as a medic where she served in Desert Storm and where she was a main support during times of mass casualty. She was encouraged to become a nurse during that time, and when she returned, she went to school at SUNY Binghamton and became a registered nurse in 2004. She did not stop there and obtained her master's degree at SUNY Binghamton as a community health family nurse practitioner. She further pursued her completion degree with a PhD in rural community health in 2010. She presently works as a full-time assistant professor for Keuka College in the nursing division. I am honored to welcome Dr. Laura McDermott to Sigma Theta Tau.
Okay, let's give all of them a nice round of applause. Okay, now that you have been welcomed into this organization, the opportunities to grow, develop, and contribute abound. There are 4 key ways the Honor Society can be meaningful and valuable to you: through honor, community, service, and solutions. It's time to ask yourself, what do I want to do to transform nursing? What can Sigma Theta Tau International do to get me there? Nancy Clarkson's going to present the Nancy Bailey Award. I'm sorry.
Good afternoon. The Nancy D. Bailey Award is presented to a member of this society who demonstrates high professional standards in practice, administration, or teaching, who demonstrates outstanding interpersonal skills through encouraging or mentoring others in supporting the goals of the society, and who exemplifies leadership qualities through participation in Honor Society activities. This award was established in 2004 and recognizes the contributions made to the organization of this Nursing Honor Society by Nancy D. Bailey, its first vice president. The recipient of this year's award meets all of these qualifications. She has served this honor society previously in the role of secretary and now as president. The membership of Upsilon, as well as the students, faculty, and administration of Keuka College have benefited greatly from her commitment to scholarship and her leadership abilities. She brings expertise in the areas of disaster preparedness, completing her doctoral degree at St. John Fisher College with important research in this area. She's an exemplary educator and consultant for students and faculty alike in the areas of research methodology and application, who has developed, taught, and currently oversees the research courses in both the BS and MS curriculum. As the coordinator of the master's program in nursing, her leadership has been invaluable. She is also an experienced and accomplished practitioner who is currently practicing as a clinical nurse specialist in the field of pediatrics. This award recognizes her commitment to the Honor Society and to Keuka College. It is my honor to present our president, Dr. Colleen Carmody Payne, with this year's Nancy D. Bailey Award. Congratulations.
Got it. Okay. It's all right. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yep.
Oh, thank you very much. I guess that's probably why I forgot it from my speech. Just, wow, shocked. Thank you. I feel very privileged. Okay, now it's time to congratulate you on your induction and conclude our ceremony, and thank you very much for coming. We're going to have our business meeting and reception dinner over in the library, which is down the sidewalk and up towards your right, and the lower level of the library. So we'll see you guys over there. Thank you very much, and congratulations.
Thank you.